To the republic which stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, liberty, and justice for all.
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes of April 10th.
I'll second it.
Motion made and second, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Unanimously approved. First item on our agenda is an application by Hogan Doctors LLC. This is for a site plan, special use permit for retail sales and accessory use permits for apartments for residential use. This is in an area called Seven Pines, located at 8104 to 8110 Casanova Road. And this pertains to 4 different tax map parcels. Is there anyone here on behalf of the applicant?
Yes.
Hi there.
Would you like me here?
Yes, that would be great. And if you could tell us, first of all, who you are.
James Niddle, I'm with Architects, 239 East Water Street in Syracuse. And I'm here representing Dr. Shashank Bach for this project.
And if you could tell us a little bit about the project, what you were attempting to do and why.
Absolutely. So, we were here not too long ago regarding the change of zoning. So 3 of the properties that were involved in lot 3A, 2B, and 3B have been changed to an RM district. The lot 4B is still to be resolved. There's obvious neighborhood opposition, and we'll come back to address that at some point. But at the moment, that property there's no work to be done there. It's just an office building at this point. Lot 3A, building 3, the one up closest to the street, closest to Suburban Park, is filled with office tenants at the moment as well. So there's no work, again, as the site plan indicates, there's no work up there. Lot 1A, Dr. Bach does not own. So there is no work planned for that particular property right now. So it's really lot 3B and 2B, which are oddly enough, building 1 and building 2. There's a second story in each building that's vacant that we're proposing to put 3 one-bedroom apartments into each building. You do have a set of plans in your package regarding that. These are existing buildings. We know for the most part, we meet the lot coverage. We know we don't have road frontage, but we do have easement through the property. We're not making any changes to the exterior of the building other than there needs to be done. There's some painting and repairs and some wood that will be over the course of this project that will be repaired and corrected. We're not changing the entrance to the buildings. We're not changing anything about the exterior appearance. We're not changing the landscaping. The landscaping will be maintained and upgraded. That's again as part of the process here. We also indicate on the plan that's submitted that we're not changing any parking. We're actually with the combined office space and residential use, we're actually over parked right now. So there's no additional parking that will need to be added. It's simply taking advantage of the permitted uses in the RM district to better utilize the buildings that are there now. I don't think the additional 6 residents will add significantly to the traffic that flows in here on a daily basis right now. So it's really as simple as that, and I would welcome any of your questions.
When you said that you're over parked, is that looking at individual
It's
lots?
looking at it holistically, and it's also
I don't want to know holistically. Each individual lot is what I'm
each
asking.
individual lot has so lot 3B with the housing and the office would need 16 spaces, we have 23. Lot 2B, same thing, we need 16, we have 20, so we are over parked now.
Okay, what about lot 3A?
3A is, we're not doing, first of all, we're not doing any work there. But based on what's there now, I think the same thing, we need 20 cars, and I believe we have 21 cars there, so that has sufficient parking for the office space that's there.
Okay. Jamie, if I could ask a question, and I didn't know this till Doug and I were talking earlier today. Lot 4B, the zone does not change, it's still RA.
Yes.
And so what we're doing is we're accessing an RA parcel to serve RM parcels, which typically we have not done.
Right, but it is a pre-existing non-conforming, it's pre-existing non-conforming in every way. It was pre-existing non-conforming, even if it stays the way it is.
Right.
And there are provisions in that new zone change for the non-conformities.
Okay, so because I don't know which lot was what, but it was CA and there
Right.
was some RA back
Right.
here. So that is not, that isn't an issue that we need.
Correct.
Okay.
But it's a good point.
Well, I'm
It's a
just
good
curious because
question.
we had that issue
Yeah.
before.
You certainly have.
Okay,
There's a house behind lot 3. How was that accessed? I couldn't see a road off of Whetstone.
There is not a house behind lot 3A, there's the gully and.
4B.
Oh, 4. Yeah, I think, there's 2 houses back there. I think maybe, Trevor, one of your houses back there as well, correct?
How do you, do you go off Whetstone?
Those are on Whetstone.
All of our guys are.
Oh, I had looked for drivers. I didn't find them.
Yeah, no, and we're not doing anything with 4B at this point.
Right. What's wrong with 4B?
It's the wrong zoning for
They didn't change it.
proposed residential
Did
use.
it change it?
It hasn't been changed.
Doug, in a project like this in the past, have we asked for a SWIP? Because they're not changing parking, they're not changing the buildings, the impervious. However, these things were built 50 years ago or whatever. So do we need to take a look at a SWIP to figure out if we need some retention up here?
We have not, and they aren't doing any changing for parking. Therefore, we wouldn't require a SWIP, but I think some of the discussion we had here in the last few months about design guidelines and other things going in the town, and I know they have spoken to some of the town board members. It might be something moving forward that we might want to look at certain areas of the town where we think we might want to revisit stormwater application. So there might be an area in the town where we might want to pull back another 5-10% of stormwater. I think that's something that we should be looking at in the future. As of right now, there's no requirement.
And this may be areas because we've had problems on Whetstone. We spent a lot of money over the past few years on Whetstone. It could be.
But anything on this site, I know of no issues with drainage on the site, but anything coming off of the site is really going off to the stream. And I don't believe it's heading out to Whetstone.
So yeah, I have a comment when you're done. Go ahead.
I'm sorry, say it again. I didn't hear what you said.
Anything here is heading off to the creek out back and to the, over to the gully between us and Suburban Park. I believe anything would be draining off. I can't say that for a fact for lot 4B, but the other sites, just topography would dictate where anything's draining off. It's not into the current conveyance system.
Okay, I'm done for now.
It would appear that, yes, the majority of the drainage goes to the east and the, west, southwest, but I was noticing that there's, I don't know how fresh it is, but there's a massive group of trees that tipped over right at the edge of the embankment on the west side between lots 3B and 2B
Okay,
and has taken a lot of the slope with it. And it makes me wonder if that's not somehow tied in with where that storm manhole might discharge out the embankment toward the stream. But I have a significant concern there with, I can't tell if it's on the property line or not, but it's affected by this property, and that the stability of that slope needs to be checked out.
Yeah,
And
and-
the safety applied by that.
And
Of the users of the
I'm
site.
sure the owner would be interested in taking a look at that. I mean,
Yeah.
We're not changing any of the.
No, but
currently happening on
It
the
comes
property.
up because in changing the uses, you'll have residential here. And then that could be
Yeah,
a
and-
concern of safety. Site lighting is another question that I have, I don't know what that business hours are of the current businesses in there. But, for a safety, impact, I would be curious to see a photometric plan of the existing lighting that's there. Because you'll have people coming in and out at different times of day, being now a new residential use. And that's a very steep drop off along there, so. I'd like to see, some consideration into how that might be addressed, and, the concern is that somebody could be out at night and could wander close to the edge and fall off.
Is that a sewer pipe behind, from the apartments over? What is that big pipe that comes over? That's sewer.
Sanitary.
That's sanitary.
As you change the use of the second story from commercial to residential, do you have to do anything architecturally to strengthen, support, and keep quiet? Because now you've got a new kind of tenant that you didn't have before.
Yeah, there is a rating that we need to do between the floors for fire protection purposes. And on top of that, we would typically put a soundboard, and whether it's a new carpet or an LVT, there'd be some additional sound mitigation efforts taken. Downstairs in the office, those are all acoustic ceilings now, which will help with the sound. And because of the nature of this, I mean, the dentist in building 2, for example, they're out of there at 4:30 in the afternoon, and the typical residents are coming home. So the office tenants are noise makers, like it's not having a restaurant downstairs or something like that. So I think that the two types not create any issues. We've seen this in other places where you have commercial and residential mix.
At the last meeting, we had a discussion, and I disagreed with Aaron that we shouldn't get involved in management of parking, but. And I didn't hear Arnie's question, but you've got with the residential and the commercial, is there gonna be a plan of where the residential people park as opposed to the commercial people? Because I've been involved in a lot of commercial real estate where they don't want somebody parking all day long in front of their business.
Yeah, and that becomes a building management issue that.
That's what I said last time. I was just curious on what
It's
your.
common
plans.
sense, but I mean, I have no plan for that right now. I'm not
Okay.
managing the property, but that would make sense that you don't let your residential people park in the handicap spot that the dentist office might want to do.
And it's, I only asked that because I was curious.
Yeah. No, it's good.
So related, actually kind of related to that too, because where the parking is behind the building,
Mhm.
it's all forward facing towards the houses behind. So I guess that
Yeah,
makes me think now, like if they're coming in at nighttime with their headlights and everything,
but again, we're not doing any work on building 4,
Well,
which
even-
is where the house is.
even 3B, like if they're parked, depending, like if you're not having designated parking, when they have guests coming
Well,
over, or anything in their parking.
3B, the parking that's like beyond the building is really, it's closer up to where it drops off to the creek. I don't believe there's any houses directed on that.
Well, I guess I'm saying if you don't designate the parking and they park on the 4B side, the lot 4B side in the back.
Again, I think there would need to be a management issue that, no, you can't park over in 4B if you live 3B or 2B.
Yeah, because all those spaces do point. So I guess it leads into another question, if you guys were gonna be doing any additional screening on that berm that's there behind 3B building 2.
At this point, there's no plans to do anything back there.
And I don't know, it probably ties into the.
And again, I think I can see the benefit of that, on whenever, if and when anything ever happens on 4B, but I think the others, there's really nothing behind it.
There's a drainage easement there too, and a sanitary easement, and that kind of, Person drains stuff, but I think that it's, you know, it is a concern. I'm more concerned with the slope and accidental issues, and obviously the slope stability there, the angle of report on the material has exceeded its.
I'll ask about ingress egress, and it's, I know that there's a document that was recorded. I don't understand it, but I know when you come in this entranceway, the main road goes across 1A to get to the other lots. So is there a document recorded giving ingress and egress to lots 3B,
Yeah,
2B and 3A?
Lisa, we've submitted all.
We got them.
But, I mean, there's a legal description, but it's not shown. I want to make sure that it's,
That there is a legal permanent easement.
yes, that's what I'm asking. And there is.
It would be good, because this is a very cumbersome document, and sometimes it refers to
Different
different
lots.
lots. They might have been called different lots at different times. And if your surveyor can delineate this, what book and page is this access? Do you know what we're talking about? That would,
Just show me.
here, see how this is going across?
Yeah.
So to delineate,
Yeah.
the book of the easement,
I'd like to see a map, a survey or a map that depicts what that legal description is, so that we know that is the area that we're talking about.
Well, yeah, it is on the survey, but I understand it's a difficult legal, and to Jamie's point, it's pages and pages.
It's on the survey, but I don't see where it says it's a recorded easement.
Okay. Let us find a better vehicle.
to
Okay, that
divide
would be
that.
helpful.
Yes.
That would be helpful. And another question, and this is maybe more to process than anything. We received on Friday 2 surveys that dealt with this project. And I guess I'm just asking, where'd they come from? Why'd we get them?
This was submitted with the package. Those are the surveys. I'm not sure why you have 2 of the same.
They're different than this.
Are those the ones I sent you separate?
Yes.
Then they didn't come from that.
Oh,
That had to do with everything else from the
okay.
backstory.
I apologize then. Okay. I thought they came from the applicant. No, okay.
It's a slope steep enough that you can put it on top.
I would like them to propose the solution and us to react to it, not propose solution. It's not,
Bring it back up along the.
I don't know that that's necessarily the right answer, given the easements. And sometimes fences can create a different kind of concern.
Create their own issues, you know.
Yeah, so I would like to see you and your client propose something to deal with that rather than us tell you what
Okay.
you should do. You know what I mean, right?
Yeah, I understand your point. Yeah, but again, we're not.
No, it's more because you're introducing a new use. And that it's not, I wouldn't expect visitors to a doctor's office or a dentist to be out wandering around on the property. Whereas people who are living there might have a pet that they go out to walk after work and it's dark, or
Actually, with the change of use, everything comes into play. We're being pretty
No,
constrained.
I understand.
and the lighting obviously goes along with that, but
Yeah.
it might, you know, I know if ever, people might not be prepared to have a conversation about that if they haven't gone out and looked at it specifically with that in mind, so. I think it's my biggest concern.
You may want to look at site plan features. Being survey, so maybe things like lighting,
Mhm.
dumpster, landscaping plan. I mean, Jim indicates they aren't changing the landscaping, but for a code compliance issue, as you move forward, you may want the landscaping all documented. Of, you know, what it was, where it was, same with the lights. So
Well,
if
it's-
somebody comes in and changes the lights. right,
Yeah.
and somebody has a complaint, then we know that, I mean, right now, I don't think there's any change in the lights. And there will impact lighting, but in the future, if somebody were to come in and put a huge spotlight up. then-
To make sure it's part of the site plan is your
Yeah.
point.
Yeah,
Whatever's there, make sure it's part of the
The
site.
light
Same with
poles are
our,
on
like,
here.
the dumpster, that's a definite change in it. So I would like to see that on the site plan.
The surveyor may have some of this information already in CAD, it's just not, the layers aren't turned on
That show, yeah.
for this, but, you know, if that storm manhole doesn't, discharge out the back of that slope, then it's almost, I didn't see a manhole, I wasn't looking for the manhole when I was out there, but, you know, I think that that would have to be looked at further because, you know, eventually the easement's impacted, but eventually it could encroach on the parking and stuff like that. And I don't know what was designed when, were there drawings on record for when that, you know, those pipes were in, would they have put anti-seep collars on that, that like, would any of that be done?
We got, say, if it's R8. But it's got to be added with that.
So, you know, if you could find out if that stuff's on the survey, just on layers that are off, would be helpful.
Right.
To have a look.
One of the, I've got another comment.
Sure.
When this was changed to RM, and I know lot coverage was modified, it was 30%. I think it's now 50. Is that? And it also had, if it's residential, it's 50. I don't remember exactly what
What's the question?
lot coverage in the RM zone.
I think Jim addressed that.
Yeah,
And once again, it's an existing non-conforming.
and,
Yeah, they're allowing that.
and maximum lot
code.
coverage is 50%, and we're 10 and 5%, so we're.
When you said they're allowing that, who's they?
Town board. Us, it's allowing the pre-existing non-conforming
Okay,
in all kinds of ways.
so that's not something we should look at
Right.
in this, okay.
But they need it anyway.
I just think we got a lot of questions that need to be answered before we go much further, but that's just me.
Well, we have a few questions, yes. Anyone else on the board? So we're looking for clarification on the easements,
Correct.
and that is a problem because there are two recorded documents with the county clerk's office, both reflecting that they are in easements to and forth and from. But the problem is they identify different lots,
Yeah,
and the lot labeling has
lot
changed.
labeling has been confusing all around.
So we need clarification from a surveyor that this is formally known as lot so-and-so, so that when we're looking at the old easement, that we can identify what it is we're talking about and what the current lot classification is. I think Aaron made a very good point about those trees being down off of 3B and 2B, and we'd like to have a more detailed report on that, whether that, how big of a concern that is for us. And what else, guys?
Did you receive?
Lighting, dumpster.
Landscaping, documentation of what's there, check the surveys, what information actually is already taken in. You know, is there any, this is a standard question I feel like we come up with, is there any provision been made for, if these people want to be outside? Are there benches, are there, you know, that kind of, you know, types of thing, what things will these tenants be allowed to do in the outdoor green space that's ultimately shared between them and the business tenants downstairs, you know? Some of that obviously is a property maintenance issue, but I think that it could be a visual issue, and I think that it could be something that would affect the neighboring
I think
properties.
it's a site plan issue, sure.
You know, if they're gonna put grills behind the building or
Or do you want to see contours?
If they have them, I mean, I think that it would help. I think that it would explain some stuff,
I think you could even just extrapolate USGS over it.
maybe depending on, you know, how it all lines up, and they may have it. I mean, I wouldn't go crazy with spot rate, but
We'll have to check with him, see if they have anything. And what period of time it's from.
you know, and basically the use of the site by the people who are living there. Are they walking anywhere? I know there was a concern by a neighbor about, you know, cut throughs. If people were gonna be crossing through, I would just be curious to see, if, you know, any of that kind of stuff.
Private property behind it, it shouldn't be.
But there's also, I mean, it leads to another question, that people that live in 2B, are they gonna wander onto 3A? Do we need to have some understanding? These are the kind of things that do happen.
No. I mean, they may wander on the 1A.
Well, they could go any, yeah.
But that's, you can wander on anybody's property anytime, so.
I'm just thinking about down the road
Unless
where
it's posted.
these lots are sold.
And even then. Look at free calls.
What I was saying, I was thinking about when these lots are sold, or the things we want to put in place now to help protect other lots in the future. And if there aren't, that's fine, I raise it.
Well, I think we need some answers, and I think it's premature to do anything else with the case. When we do schedule a public hearing, we would most likely do a public hearing for everything, for site plan approval, for special use permit, and accessory use.
I'm not sure there's a special.
Yeah, why would it be?
I don't think there's a special use permit involved in this,
No,
because there's not a restaurant, a bakery, or
Well,
anything.
yeah, I meant to ask about the title here, special use permit
Yeah.
for retail, there's no retail.
I know,
There's
but
no
the-
special permit.
But if you're saying there aren't any, it's only office,
They're currently office and we're putting in residential, which are
Okay.
both permitted. use.
so you'd only need it if he was going to do some kind of a bakery or restaurant or food stuff on the bottom. But you do need the accessory use permit.
okay, and are these all gonna be medical use, the office space we're talking about?
No, I mean, there's medical there and there's a wealth planner in building, 1 on 2B. That office tenant is some kind of a planning group.
Okay,
So it's just mixed commercial B occupancy stuff. So I'm sorry, Jamie,
Yeah, it was a little confusing, the accessory use permit, you're gonna ask about that. Well, that's a good question, but the code says that in this instance, there's gonna be the primary use, which is probably the offices, and the accessory is gonna be the apartments. So that would be the accessory use permit,
all right.
although it could be vice versa. I'm not really sure which, but we're, in this case, we're gonna call it the offices first,
Office first, residential second.
right? Just because they're already there. But if someone came in with something fresh, I'm not sure what they would do.
Yeah, no, there's no plan for retail. or restaurant.
how much time do you need to?
We'll, regroup tomorrow and, try to see how quickly, I mean, if the survey information is available, it shouldn't be very long. So, I'll just be in touch with Lisa.
That would be fine, that
Okay.
would be fine, and then she will set it up and notify you of the date. Okay. Any other questions from the board? Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yes. Nice.
The next 4 items on our agenda are accessory use permit renewal applications. And the first of these is Dr. Heath Winkler for a dental office at 8051 Cazenovia Road. And I'm trusting that everyone has reviewed the permit renewal application and the comments that have been made by the town. and their recommendations
I'll make a motion to approve the renewal.
for
Dr. Winkler for 7 years.
7 years.
Second.
I can't tell who was next first. And second by Ann. All in favor? Any opposed? The renewal approved. The next one is relative to an application by Alan and Jill Olmsted. This is property at 8645 East Seneca Turnpike, which is currently being used as a real estate office. And we have a report on that as well. And recommendations from the town on that one as well. I would entertain any motion,
I'll do that.
Second.
and we're speaking in terms of recommendation is for a 7-year renewal.
Yes.
Motion made by Ann and second by Richard, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. The third renewal application is from Mark Oberfirst. And this is for property located at 7085 East Genesee Street. This is also a dentist office. And we have a report filed by our code enforcement officer. No changes and recommendation for renewal. I would entertain a motion.
Make a motion for 7 years.
I'll second that.
Motion by Judy and second by Arnie. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Motion is approved. Renewal is approved unanimously. And the last application is Tom Hosmer. This is property located at 7101 East Genesee Street. And this is for violins.
Oh, yeah.
And this is for manufacture. This isn't for manufacture. This is for violin lessons.
Repairs.
Repairs and sales.
Yep.
And we have a recommendation from our town code officer relative to this.
I move that we grant renewal for 7 years.
Motion by Arnie,
Second.
second by Richard. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
I love that.
Seems to have been there for a long time.
Yeah.
Long time.
Yes.
Best violins in town.
Yeah, he's really good.
Good.
Now, folks, I have no additional add-ons.
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
Motion by Richard to adjourn, second by Arnie, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion approved. We are currently scheduled for May 8th. We have 2 public hearings scheduled on for May 8th, that's I knew. And anything else, they may tumble through the door.
I saw that,
Who's coming?
well, there was one. Holly Drive was supposed to come back today. Did they not get you stuff? I was just looking back to my notes earlier and I thought, I don't know.
The people who are doing Poly Drive are got involved in a big one going down in the village of Manoa, 48 apartment units going to Manoa. And I think they may be focusing on that more so than Poly Drive.